Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mile High Sports Symposium. I am JT Matthews, one of your hosts at JT Matthews01 on Twitter, and I'm here with the Dr. Nicholas Manning at Dr_N Manning. Hey, you put it in your name, so now I can just read it and I don't have to mess it up.
It's been there the whole time. I just usually don't have it up, so I made sure to put it up for you.
Well, I know I need my shortcuts, so that helps. What have you been up to? Hey. How you feeling?
Oh man, it's been a doozy. It's been a week. My daughter got second in her gymnastics meet, so first time not winning first. Left her there. I was like, if you're not first, you're last. She still hasn't made it home. No, but in all seriousness, she handled it well. Didn't know how she would handle not winning. But she is determined to improve, so that was good stuff. Weekend went by in a blur, and so has this week, to be honest with you. It's been I don't even know what's going on anymore. Yeah. How about you? How are you doing, son?
Yeah, you get into these grooves where you're just kind of going through the motions, and I'm kind of there with you. It's been good though. Like I'm not trying to complain, but some days, some months they just kind of everything kind of leaks together, and you're just kind of scratching your head like, oh, we're already 10 days into April somehow.
Yep. Yeah. It's
yeah.
But it's like elbow deep in sports, right? So Rockies are going. Got the Avs and Nuggets playoff push. NFL draft coming up. I mean, it's what else could you want?
Yeah. I mean, for sports fans, it's a good time of year. We've got a little bit of everything. So let's cover a little bit of everything today. And I think we're just going to start out with the Rockies. Rockies have gotten off to a pretty poor start, but it looks like they've had some bright spots within that team. I know Kyle Freeland had a nice comeback game the other night against Arizona. I don't know what the score is, and I know they're playing right now. And last I saw, I think it was tied 2-2, something like that.
Yeah, it's up. They're up 3-2 now. So have an opportunity for the first series win of the season against the D-backs, not D-backs. So they're up 3-2 in top 5. Opportunity for the very difficult series win, apparently.
Yeah,
they're bad, man. God, it's like Austin Gomber's pitching pretty well. It's just they don't have a major league. They just don't have a major league staff, and I mean they pitched pretty well yesterday. Lost 3-2. Whatever you take some of those, but had a few games that they simply blew leads to. Right, it was like 6-2 on opening day going into the 9th. All of a sudden, you got to go bottom 9. You're down 1, like what? Like, oh, come on. So it's not been great. And the hard part for me is there's some good bats in the pipeline. So if you got a chance to catch the pod with me and Drew Kreisman, talked a lot about a lot of the position players. They have a gluttony of outfielders and corner infielders, like falling out of their ears. Pitching, though, not as much. The times that this team has been successful has been when they have drafted and developed. You got Jeff Francis, Aaron Cook, Abaldo Jimenez, Franklin Morales. Even the squad of kind of yesteryear with Herman Marquez, Freeland, Yoli Chacin. You had et cetera, right? So we have those guys. Antonio Sensatella, who him and Marquez will be coming back. Marquez after the All-Star break, and Sensatella probably next year. So when this team has been successful, it has been they've grown pitching, and sometimes that's you just draft a crap ton of pitchers. Finding hitters to play at Coors Field, not as difficult. People want to come and smash, right? So if they can do that, And I don't know why they don't. I don't know why they keep taking outfielders in the first round. Bobby Montgomery might be a really good player at some point, but it's redundant to say the least, where you need high school outfielders. Like, goodness gracious. So, it'll probably be a few years before, the youth movement is upon us, and I still don't know what that pitching will look like. So, it's rough. I want them to be at least like be young, competitive, good. Like, that's fine. Lose 5-4 every night. Get your young guys some experience. That just hasn't been the case as of yet. But bright spot, Ryan McMahon, guys, third in Major League Baseball in batting average. That's only like a weekend, but he has usually been a slow starter. So that's really, I think that should be a really big bright spot for Rockies fans. Charlie Blackmon's still playing pretty well, which gives me no excuse to suck at softball.
Yeah,
about
exactly.
the same age. He's
Like,
crushing Major League pitching, and I struggle with the underhand knuckle. Ezekiel Tovar hitting 326. That's kind of your big future. Just signed a big extension. And then Brenton Doyle, who really isn't a hitter, out in center field, tremendous defensive outfielder, hitting 295. So you assume he's going to come back to the pack a little bit. Nolan Jones, who is really, we're hoping that he's going to be a budding superstar. Is batting 167. He'll get hot at some point. The question is, will Chris Bryant ever earn his contract? So currently, my guy is batting a $105. And it's not good. It's not good. Making that much money.
Yeah.
And you're not.
Yeah, it's difficult, Yeah, you need those guys to produce. You need guys that obviously the guys that are veterans and that have been around the block a little bit. They should be kind of buoying this team, and it's hard to watch him kind of show up and go through the motions. It doesn't seem like he's.
It's tough because it's when you're playing the outfield and first base, where like this team has people. Like you can any minor leaguer can come up and hit 105.
Right.
But we're paying
for way less.
$30 million. $30 million. Like, dear goodness gracious. Well,
yeah, that's wild. Do you think that there's a lot of would you say that there's truth to the difficulty of pitching in Colorado in this stadium in particular? I've been a Rockies fan for multiple years now, since I've been young. And we've never really, besides Ubaldo Jimenez, I don't really remember any ace pitchers that have really solidified themselves in this league outside of this franchise. Do you think that it is as difficult to pitch in Colorado, or do you think it's more just the pipeline has never really been strong in the players?
Yeah, I think that twofold. One, I think the investment hasn't been there to grow guys. Like the selection process was terrible. Drew, not Drew, but it's some pretty telling information a little bit about why they didn't choose Clayton Kershaw and they chose David Weathers. David Weathers seemed like a nice guy. I mean, if that's your scouting techniques to be able to ensure your top three pick is that, I mean, and even the year Brendan Rodgers got picked, they had Trevor Story. And at that time, I think Trevor was in his first or second year. So he's young, he's under contract. There is no beef yet with Nolan. Can you utilize the top three pick for pitcher? And then when they do use a top pick, it's Riley Pint, who can throw 100 but can't hit the side of a barn. And so it's a little bit of like, what's our philosophy? What's hard here is the state of Colorado produces fantastic high school pitching. We don't have any college schools really that have D1 baseball here. So they go elsewhere, et cetera. The issue isn't being able to pitch at altitude. It's being able to be consistent in between starts. because when the ball doesn't break as hard here, you have to move your spot. Like, what am I aiming for? What am I supposed to expect on this break? But a lot of that is, if you don't walk guys and you keep the ball down, you're going to do pretty well. The one big difference at Coors Field is the outfield is just so big that singles become doubles, doubles become triples. Right. It's not the home run ball. The humidor really has helped eliminate that. Essentially, it has been you get gouged with singles in the gap that become doubles, and then all of a sudden you've given up 4 runs on 4 hits, and maybe none of them were hit very hard.
Right.
And that a little bit can be I think the issue. So when this team has done well, so the 2018, I think Kyle Freeland was 3rd in Cy Young voting that year. So it's not that you can't be successful here. It's really the mental fortitude going back and forth, right? We've seen German Marquez be absolutely nails at Coors Field for entire seasons. So what's missing, that part I don't know. I mean, the construct of how they develop pitchers is not complex, and there's not a big investment in that portion of the organization. So without that, and you're investing in corner outfielders, you're going to get what you get. There's just a lack of opportunity to make those decisions. They spend money. They don't spend money on the right things. One time that they did spend money on the bullpen, you went for an aging closer and, a setup reliever who throws strikes, but throws 91-mile-an-hour fastballs. I mean, right. All right. Well, maybe not the right idea. We're just executing the wrong guys. I think it can be done. I think that they don't understand who they are and how to operate, right? So Tampa, for instance, is always the model that I would refer to because they do more with less. And essentially it's because we're going to operate and we're going to stay within our model. And instead of spending a whole bunch on players, which they can't do routinely, you spend on player development, and then you re-up guys in, pre-arbitration. So you get them, they're going to leave, but they're going to leave at 28, 29, 30. And you've gotten almost a decade out of them because they were producing and ready to produce when they got to that. And then you can afford a vet or 2, but you essentially have a ton of youthful MLB experience. The Rockies just don't know who they are. So, it's a little bit of pick where you're going to be. You could just be a slug it out team, go and spend a ton of money on bats, try and win games, 10-9. If you can't find pitchers, why not make a good offense instead of having a pretty crappy offense and no pitching?
Yeah. It's disheartening to say the least, and it makes
for sure
this part of the season or just the baseball season just in general tough to get behind, tough to be excited about. Obviously, we're full the behind sort of identity, but up until this point, it's been pretty tough to watch. So let's transition to some games that have been more fun to watch. And start with the Nuggets. Played last night. They played the Utah Jazz in Utah. Got a win. I think 6 starters were out for Utah, which I don't think it says all that much, to be honest.
They're not a good. They're not a relatively good team anyway. So.
Yeah. It's just there are talented guys on that team. I don't want to take away from some of the talent. They have some talented rookies. Some guys that looked really good last.
Uh-oh. Cutting out. So I'm going to go ahead and take it from here while you pop back in because you're cutting out a little bit.
Cool.
We got the big game today. Nuggets, Timberwolves, essentially, this is for first in the West. I want to know how or what you guys think. Maybe drop it in the comments. What do you think of the matchup today It looks like everyone will be a go, which is huge. You look at the final 2 games of the season after this, you got the Spurs and the Grizzlies. So a huge opportunity for the Nuggets to kind of cement themselves as the first overall seed. If we were to ask ourselves this question a while ago, is rest or the 1 seed more important? I think the rest that guys got, so Aaron Gordon, hopefully he's playing today, but they've erred on the side of caution with Jamal Murray, KCP, etc. And now we're at a portion of the season that we're going into the playoffs. So essentially this is kind of playoff mode. Now that you are in position to get first, you might as well take the opportunity to get first. So I expect the Nuggets to give their A effort. I'm actually really excited about this matchup against the Timberwolves. I think it will be playoff-ish. I think the Timberwolves feel like they caught up. I think they're a confident group. I think Anthony Edwards is that dude. And it'll be really interesting. I also wonder after this, because over the next few games for the Timberwolves, they want to get Cat some playing time. I just wonder what that's going to be like for a team now that's kind of in its groove again. You bring a piece back that's going to want, double-digit shots per night. How is that going to reacclimate? So that would be kind of an interesting predicament for the Timberwolves fans to deal with. Suckers, you're in Minnesota. Sorry.
Yeah, it's difficult. I've heard a little bit on Cat timeline. I haven't heard much lately on the Cat timeline. I don't know. Is he primed to be back pretty soon? Have you heard that?
Yeah, I heard that they're going to try and get him some PT over the next couple of games.
Okay. Well, that does change things.
He's physically cleared. I don't know what that means actually for actionable time.
And how healthy he'll actually be come playoff time. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see them try and get him back into playing shape and kind of just jumping right into playoff basketball will be difficult. And they scare me. They scare me less than now than they do with Cat, if I'm being honest. This is a team that is tough defensively. I still think they have a lot of nice pieces. But I think you're right. I think you're essentially playing for the division tonight. The Nuggets have, I think, Minnesota, the Spurs, and I don't remember the last team. I could look really quick, but
they got the Grizzlies. The Nuggets got
Grizzlies.
The Spurs, the Grizzlies, the next. So not exactly murderer's row.
Right. And so I think the Thunder still play the Bucks. I think Minnesota still plays Suns. And so they've got tough games coming down the wire, both of them. And we've kind of got, if we can kind of deal with the Timberwolves tonight and get a statement win, and essentially we should be able to lock up, the number 1 seed, which I think you've done that by being cautious with your best players and giving them extra rest. And if you're able to lock up the top seed, that's what you want. That's what you need for this team. I don't know how much you need it, but it certainly helps come playoff time to have the overall top overall seed in the West. So,
yeah, I mean, if you put yourself, like I said, if you put yourself in position to win, and you hit on the head, that's kind of what I had mentioned too, was you did it in a way that was preserving your guys. So it wasn't that you were load managing necessarily, but you're being extra precautious about Murray. He probably missed a couple more games than he would have if they were in a playoff push, right? They didn't know if they were going to make it, and I bet Murray probably sees the court sooner. Same with AG, same with KCP, all that good stuff. So
yeah.
I think that they were able to be selective in how they utilized rest. Now essentially they're starting your playoff season 3 games out, 4 games if you count last game. Because with this win, so if they're able to get this win, essentially they're at least 1 up on the Thunder and the Timberwolves. So they control their own destiny. Essentially, if they went out, not only a division, but 1 seed in the West, which will be big. The first play-in series looks like it's going to be the Lakers versus the Warriors.
maybe Sacramento,
which is a better matchup than King Suns or whatever.
Yeah. Sacramento could fall into that play-in game. We'll see. The Lakers have been playing decently recently. It's kind of been up and down, but they've had some nice wins.
Yeah, I feel like with their wins or good statement wins, and then they lose to, like, why did we do there?
Yeah, exactly. And so there's just not a lot of consistency there. I still fear LeBron a little bit. If I had to choose, I'd probably hope that the Lakers leap the Kings. And as much as the Kings have given us trouble a little bit over the years, I like us in a series. I like the guys they have. I like De'Aaron Fox a lot. I think he gives Jamal Murray problems when they switch on to him. But I just trust that our supporting cast. They had Herter go down with an injury, so he's not in the rotation right now. That's a big piece for them, especially at perimeter shooting. And so if we got matched up with them, I would feel okay about that. I think then you just key in on De'Aaron Fox, you key in on Malik Monk, and I don't think they have enough scoring with the other guys. Even with Sabonis, even if he has a great night, you still have Jokic, who is, arguably the better version of Sabonis.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I mean, you're when their best player is a lesser version of the player you have, it's then it takes an entire team then. And if one of our guys has a really great night, essentially it kind of squanders that. If MPJ gets loose, right? Aaron Gordon, they don't have, in my opinion, anyone that matches up really well with him either. So really, Jamal Murray, I think, and Fox cancel each other out. And if that's the case, you have the edge in a variety of stuff. I want to see the Lakers just because I want one more time of just making them cry a little bit. But I think if you get, you reach back in there too many times, you're going to get bit. And I would rather play the Warriors, who I think are just absolute shell of who they've been. Draymond Green is, it's making Steph Curry cry. Oh gosh, let's keep that energy here. And let's just miss the Suns at least until the second round. Let's save that till we get a series under our belt. We're humming a little bit, and then we'll take that challenge. It's going to be, that second round matchup, whether it's the Clippers, whether it's the Suns, whether it's the Thunder, depending on how all of this shakes out. They could very much get a pretty big bugaboo for this season. All of those teams have given them fits at some point in time. So this playoff run, my opinion, will be much more challenging than last year. They were really dominant last year. Yeah. People are like, oh, well, they didn't play anyone. LeBron and AD were 8th seed. We all know that they were better than an 8th seed. So, you're playing that group. You're playing, Booker and KD with Chris Paul. And, you have Anthony Edwards and Cat. I mean, and then you got Jimmy Butler, who was on a historic playoff run, right? So it's just last year was they were the buzzsaw, and teams, messed around and found out. I think this year, I think they're playing when they're on, they're playing just as good. I do think some other teams got better. I think Clippers kind of figured themselves out a little bit, and the Suns with Bradley Beal, and I feel like they have Nurkic was a genius move. That, thank goodness, it came 2 years too late. DeAndre Ayton moving out, he has been, he is the glue and the grimy that they needed, as opposed to another, highly drafted guy that wants the spotlight. So I think that this is going to be, there's going to be a few games that go, a few series that go to 6, maybe 1 to 7. I think preparing for a much longer challenge, but one I'm up for.
Yeah. And the one they're up for, I think, they're coming in, as long as they're healthy, I feel good about their chances against anyone. And it seems like, outside of Aaron Gordon right now, Jamal had a great game last night. He had something like 5 or 6 dunks. He's looking springy. He's looking aggressive. That's what you need. You need him to be rounded into form as we get to the playoffs, especially Jamal. Jokic, I'm Vince can just turn it on whenever he wants to. So I don't worry so much about his misses around the rim lately. I think as the pressure grows and mounts, he'll rise to that. So as long as everyone's clicking on all cylinders, I do worry a little bit about bench scoring and the consistency of that. Not that they can't, but will they when the pressure is highest? I think Peyton Watson is still finding his offensive game. He's kind of developed this nice little mid-range fadeaway that he goes to sometimes that he hits pretty consistently. Still real streaky, hit and miss from the outside. Christian Braun's been hot shooting lately. I hope he maintains that because we're going to need it. And then Reggie, I just need Reggie to kind of even out a little bit. He goes, has games where he shoots lights out, and then he has games where he starts – I think last night he was like 1 for 10 or 1 for 13 or something to start the game. And so those guys, Reggie's the veteran with that group. He's kind of got to set the tone for those guys. And he's not going to see the court much if he's not able to kind of find some consistency. That was the nice thing about having a guy like Bruce Brown, even though it wasn't necessarily a primary ball handler. You knew what you're going to get every night. Yep. There's some consistency there. And you may not have the high highs and followed by some low lows. But you knew you were going to get good defense. Yep. You were going to get some knockdown shooting from the outside. And you were going to get athleticism around the rim. He's a guy that played, much larger guys defensively his whole career. And so Reggie's got up some big boots, big shoes to fill. I think he's capable of it. He's a veteran. He's a Colorado guy. Of course, we're rooting for him. But I would say it doesn't look as clean right now as it did going into the playoffs last season, even though we had a bit of a downtrend towards the end of the season. I think we all felt decently about the playoff chances. This one, it feels like everyone's gotten better, and we'll see if we've kind of maintained our same level across the board as far as consistency goes. Yeah. I'm still taking us versus the field.
For sure.
But I think it is, like you said, it is closer than it was before.
Yeah. We shall see. It's, predictability from the bench is huge. You'll take the highs and low games from MPJ, right? Because it's like anything really you get from MPJ is a bonus, and because you can offshoot that with Jokic, right? Like he just will stop getting the ball if he's shooting like crap. When it's a guy coming off the bench that's supposed to be leading a unit, you really got to have a steady hand, especially that point guard. So I assume if his play doesn't become more even, like you said, he won't see the floor in the playoffs, right? They're going to shorten that bench, and most likely, it'll be someone else handling the ball. Point Jokic in some of those, and his time will be sparingly, which stinks because I think Reggie can be a really good player for this team. He just gotta stick with his role. I don't need him putting up 13 shots a night. Like I just don't. Once you hit 1 for 7, like stop.
Yeah. When the playoffs roll around, it's
go to the hole.
The volume's going to go down for sure. Those rotations, you're going to have Aaron Gordon in there at center, most of the time with the second unit. And then you're going to really hang your hat on that defense. And so that gives me hope. If they're opportunistic and they can create turnovers and get fast breaks and create mismatches for themselves on the other end, I worry less than if it's a team, if we're not getting stops and we've got to go into a half-court offense, then it worries me a little bit more. I trust Peyton Watson on a fast break, being able to get to the rim and create contact and either get free throws or throw it down. Same with Christian Braun. But as soon as you start having to work, NBA level offense from a half-court standpoint into their game, it just slows down a little bit. It's not as clean. And so it'll be interesting to see Malone's rotations. I do think this season MPJ is going to have to give a little bit more consistently, and I think he has towards the end of this.
Really, this has been his most consistent season, don't you think?
Yeah, Yeah,
And
I
he's
think
showing up
so.
game in and game
I
out.
think he's kind
How
of,
many games has he missed? I think he's played in the majority of them.
yeah, I don't know, honestly.
I
But
mean,
he's
he
one
hasn't
that,
missed big chunks, which has been good. I mean, he's
yeah,
averaging almost 17 a night, almost 50 from the floor, 30 or 40% from three. So he's averaging almost 17.7 rebounds, assist and half. I mean, that's from your third guy. We'll say third guy, right? I mean, that's not.
yeah.
I mean, that's pretty good, especially that on how efficient he's doing it. So, nice job.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need him to be able to hit from distance. He's gonna, if we're not able to hit from 3-point line, which is I fear is going to happen at some point during the playoffs, the spacing just gets really, really tough. Contavious Caldwell-Pope's a great 3-point shooter, but doesn't necessarily create that for himself.
Right.
Mike is one of the guys who, he doesn't necessarily create it for himself, but he has that ability to shoot over guys, and that gives him a lot of flexibility in this game. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and
to
especially
see.
if you can get him even like diving to the rim or in some action as the pick setter. I mean, that's you have to honor him from out there, which creates space, which creates opportunities for other guys. He's got to be consistent enough to be a threat. And then either they lean off of him and he gets some pretty easy looks, which sometimes I feel like the easy looks are the ones he clanks. And then, all of a sudden here comes contested hand and run out. And it's just like right in their face. Same possession. Like, wow.
For sure.
But when you're super good at what you do, sometimes it's like that. I think I told you about shooting a tech free throw in high school. Like those were the worst. I wanted people next to me and yelling. And so maybe PGA is like that. Just the more chance he has to think, the worse he probably is.
Yeah, I think we could probably say that fairly.
Yeah, he started 78 games so far.
That's pretty amazing.
He's played in and started 78 games. Nice job, Michael.
All but one. So he's missed one game.
No, I think that's all of them. Right? Because there's 3 games left. 82-game season. 82 minus 3. Nope, you're right. He's missed one game. Not bad.
Not bad. I'll take it.
Not bad. I will. I mean, guy with a. I mean, didn't know if he would walk again, let alone play basketball. Dear goodness.
Yeah.
Nice shot.
And I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard much about it lately, but he still wears that brace for drop foot. He's got.
I still don't understand what that is, but it sounds fake.
Yeah.
I think it's real. Foot? Is it like pop, lock, and drop it? Is it like a dance move? Like, oh, hit him with that drop foot.
I'll let you take that one. Well, let's dive into the Avalanche a little bit. Avs got a big win against the Wild last night. Nathan MacKinnon had 3 goals and an assist. He is 2 points behind Kucherov for the points leader in the NHL. He's still MVP in my mind. Would you agree with that, or do you think Kucherov maybe has a better argument right now?
No, I was listening to some folks on the NHL network just discussing kind of the difference between the two and how. So Kucherov is only, I think, as of today, like +9 on the season, and MacKinnon is +39.
Right.
Like, I mean, just how important you are on the ice. If you've scored that many points as Kucherov has, what are you doing on defense? And they have one of the best goalies to ever play. So it's not like they got some slouches back there. So I think that's something. No, yeah. So he's 2 points behind Kucherov as of today, and I mean it's definitely biased, but I think you routinely see something special from him in it. He's been on it all year.
Yeah.
It's not like, Connor McDavid is doing some special stuff right now, but they really struggled the beginning of the season. The coach got fired because they weren't playing well. So maybe it was the coach's fault. I think he is the MVP, right? So this team, I think, will be the 2 seed probably heading into the playoffs. I think catch the Stars. Stars are on fire.
Yeah.
But the 2 seed in a loaded West, as opposed to what are the Lightning, like the 6th seed, something like that now. And they've had a ton of inconsistencies. If people have watched the Avalanche this year with, with guys out significant time, you're still missing the heart of your organization, and he's kind of stepped in and managed that. They made some deals. They've had guys coming in and out of the lineup, but he has been consistent. And he really has, like, his whole career. I mean, the guy doesn't miss a lot of games. I mean, I think one season he had a stint on the IL, but really he wakes up and gets there. It's probably because he doesn't put Alfredo on his spaghetti sauce. And so I don't know why he wouldn't be. I also heard a pretty good stat about how Kucherov, like 80 something points of the 139 have been on the power play or something. I mean, it's a pretty large, what do they call him? A power play merchant, which isn't bad. Like, hey, if you're a good player, right, you should be feasting on the power play. But if the majority of your scoring comes when you have a man advantage, what are you doing when you're down a man or it's even, it's crunch time and in overtime, things like that, where, McDavid and McKinnon have been, they're good all the time. But I think that to me is like, that's like you're picking stuff in between. I mean, Connor McDavid's probably going to hit 100 assists. It's like first time in a long time. I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. McKinnon has been, in my opinion, the best player throughout the season. And Kucherov, I think, has been phenomenal. I don't care how you score, but 139 points at this stage in the season, it's a pretty damn good season. So I think McKinnon is. I'm a little biased, obviously, because I'm an Avalanche fan. That said, there's been other years where he's been good and had an argument for. I think this year he's been special, and he's been special throughout.
Yeah, he's the front runner, and he should be. He's kind of maintained throughout the season, and you haven't really seen any dip. Basically, if you've been to a home game to watch the Avalanche play, he's scored. Aside from at least one, maybe two now, but I think only one still. Yeah. And so you can't ask for more consistent leadership, more consistent scoring. A guy who's made teammates better. I mean, Jonathan Drouin is having the best season of his career.
He's going to get paid.
Up with.
The guy's going to get paid.
As he should.
Yep. But, I mean, he's going to get paid because he's sitting next to Nathan McKinnon. And maybe that's another, then now becomes, this organization, if you are getting done with a deal, maybe a high round draft pick, and you want to come somewhere for a rehab stint, right? Get your market back up. That's here, right? Play next to McKinnon. You're going to score 20 more points and get paid.
Yeah.
Right now, the odds books have him. So DraftKings -475, FanDuel -470. It's
pretty great.
Yeah. I mean, essentially they're telling you he is a lock. Kucherov +450, +460. And then Connor McDavid +1,300 and +1,100. So my man Clayton, what up, G? So there's a significant wave of pro McKinnon, which I'm all about. Please do smash that like button, share, comment, algorithm, all that stuff. It'd be great.
All that good stuff.
Yeah, but I wonder, though, if you were to ask McKinnon, now that he has, I'm going to ask you this as you're McKinnon, to get angry and stuff. If you were, hey, you know what, Nate? You're going to make it to the Western Conference Finals. You're going to lose in 7. You're going to play great, though. And you're going to get the Hart Trophy. That's option A. Option B, you're going to come in 3rd in the MVP. You're going to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. And all I can promise you that it's going to be 2-2 when we start it. Which one do you think he takes?
Oh, he takes the second for sure.
Yeah.
What's
weird is, like, part of me is like, I think he cares about it. right? I think
of course.
Nikola Jokic cared, before the narrative about him and what he does got sideways. But I also think he recognizes, there's Hall of Fame players that never got a Hart Trophy because in the end it's subjective, right? It's not who had the most points in the season or who's the highest scorer on the best team. It is not a subjective grading system. It is, people who, what they think the best player is or most valuable. You go win a second Stanley Cup. He is moving up his ranks in Avalanche lore, which you got Forsberg, you got Sakic. I mean, it came around in 96, but for the last almost 30 years, this is a historic winning franchise just in the Colorado before you even look at Quebec. And he's moving, Super Joe out of spots. And if Super Joe is a Hall of Famer, which absolutely, right, one of the top 25 players to ever play, you got to think, right? So super excited. I'm ready for both of these teams, Avs and Nuggets, to just get in the playoffs, and then let's go. Let's see it. I think if I were to picture what Nathan McKinnon's going to look like when that puck drops in the playoffs, he's going to have the red laser eyes. I feel like he's in God mode right now, and I'm super pumped. We talked about it probably a few pods ago, but how cool is it that right now we are rooting for a team that has the best player in the world at their sport in one place? We got two of them. That's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Yeah. Best player in two of the sports that are played worldwide. It's not even just football where it's you got Patrick Mahomes. It's an American sport, all that good stuff. So suck it, Mahomes. But you got Nikola Jokic, who is Serbian, right? Nathan McKinnon is Canadian, eh? And so you got people from around the world in a global sports market, and we got the best ones, and they both play at the same arena. That's dope.
And Jamal Murray is from Kitchener, Ontario, so we've got even more.
Yeah, but he's not the best player in a sport. So I'm just saying,
that's true. I'm just saying
that you literally have two of they're the best right now. They're playing the best out of anyone else in the sport.
Yes,
and they play for your team. Yeah, Jamal Murray's my guy. I love Jamal Murray.
Of course.
But just wasn't part of the argument.
Yeah. So, I just think,
Rockies, I can't say we'll have any of those ever again.
Yeah. For the Avs, I just think, if we get consistency from your second and third lines with scoring to buoy that top line a little bit, I think they're in perfectly good shape.
Yeah.
Goaltending is probably the one question mark. Is Georgiev going to have enough down the stretch in a long playoff run and be consistent enough? We'll see. Otherwise,
do you think right now, gun to your head, it's a critical game, who do you have starting? Ananen, or do you have Georgiev start?
I think you got it. Yeah, you still got to go with Georgiev, I think. It's not that he's been terrible. It's just the consistency. There's times where he makes amazing saves. I've seen games where he stands on his head, and I'm hoping that once we amp up, it's a long season, so maybe we'll get some more consistent play in the playoffs.
Yeah, like you said, right? It's it's the Reggie Jackson effect a little bit. It's I don't need you to stand on your head every night. I don't. I need you to give up 3 or less, or sometimes 4 or less. Just give them 4 or less even. And this team's going to put enough in there. And that was how they won with Darcy, right? It was just keep us in the game, make as many routine saves as possible. If you're able to get some pretty cool ones, sweet. And I think if either of those goalies can do it, I think they'll make a really nice run this year. So super pumped. But no one came to hear us talk about good teams. They won. Just kidding, Clayton. Never broken for life.
Dang.
Draft coming up, so we're super pumped. I think we both have agreed we're going to go attend to the Let's Talk Broncos, our favorite podcast, over at The Rock on the 25th around 6:00. If you're able to make it, please do. We are going to be there, which we are way more fun than they are, but come decide.
Also, we won't
be
doing the show, so
we won't be, but they'll probably have us out there because they'll be like, hey, no one's listening to us, but you guys come up here. So,
Yeah,
but
sure, that sounds good.
you and me love it, right? We are draft heads. I love the off season. Obviously, I have degrees in business, and so I like the formation of this team plus long term and cap and all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And your passion for the draft players, your hidden gems, value, all that stuff. So let's do a little bit of draft talk before we got to go. So
Let's do.
First, I'm going to ask you. So because I think that this happens, ebbs and flows, right? We are a country of immediacy, and so Bo Nix has a great Poe day. Everyone's mocking Bo Nix and the Broncos. That's what happens. And then Michael Penix, 4.4, 640, boom. Penix or bust, right? So now that the dust has settled a little bit on those guys, just give me your take for what's a realistic way to look at this quarterback position. If you are George Payton or Sean Payton, with what you know and what's feasible, because it is feasible to move up. Is it feasible to outbid Minnesota or all those things?
Right.
I'll let you answer that. What's the move at quarterback? What do you think is most likely to happen? We're not going to get to predictions yet. That's going to happen draft week, but tell me what your thoughts are about the quarterback position, where they're at and where they're going to go.
Yeah, I think most likely we'll see them be patient. I don't know that I expect that they'll go get a guy, because that means you're going to have to move into the top 7, top 6, maybe even. And that's super expensive. We just got off of a year where we had no draft picks and no draft capital because of a certain move that we made.
Yep. I mean, even this year, right? Like how hamstring is this team because they don't have a second round pick? One reason why you can't move up is because you don't have a second round pick to either offset that move up so that you can still get a quality player again, or utilizing that to move up because we're paying off Sean Payton. So yeah, it's hard then to be like, all right, let's do this all again, and hopefully we get one. So I like so playing it. Do you think that if assuming it's not one of the top 4, do you think that they would take one of the other guys at 12?
I won't say no, just because the quarterbacks in the draft always go high, So it matters how much they've fallen in love with either Penix or Nix, or someone below them even. I don't know that you would see them take a guy that's projected lower than Nix and Penix at 12. I could see Nix or Penix going at 12 if they really love him. That's not the move I would make. If it were me, I would try to move backwards, accumulate some draft capital, hope a guy's there if you really like him, hope he's there. Or, if you move back into the 20s and you're 1 or 2 picks away, you think someone's going to leapfrog you, then you move back up and you grab the guy you want. But, ideally, I think if they can move backwards, if they can get a second round pick, someone falls into the second round, maybe you like, a Penix or Nix, maybe even like a Pratt in the 3rd round. That's probably what I would go with. Because it doesn't require, if you take someone outside of the 1st round, and we saw this with Drew Lock, you're not married to them necessarily. And so it leaves the door open for next season. If we have a really terrible season, to have a 1st round pick that's in the top 10, top 5, potentially, you take the guy you want. You take a top 3, top 2 quarterback in that draft class, and that's who you move forward with. Unless and it gives one of those lower tier guys a chance to show out this year. You let him compete against Stidham or whoever's going to be in that room, and just see what happens. But you're not married to that quarterback necessarily, and you accumulate talent, which I think at some point they're just going to have to do.
Yep. Yeah, it's how I feel about this is a little bipolar. I think part of it is I just want an answer, right? Like I just want the plan to happen, and they don't owe me the plan. So we have to wait for it, which is part of the reason why this is so fun. Right? Like, does it get executed? I don't want them to take a quarterback at 12 because I don't think that the value is there at 12. And I think if they take a guy at 12, that means they weren't able to move back and they settled. I would love it if they traded back, maybe even a couple times, acquired picks, and then maybe took one of those guys in the late 20s. I know that that's not a good spot for quarterbacks. But with the rookie wage scale, right, and you can move off of them after year two, sweet. I also am okay if they don't. The more that I watch a little bit of some stuff with Rattler, I've come around a little bit actually to heard some more of his interviews. I think there has been some maturity, which is the part that I was concerned about. He has a really nice arm. It's elastic.
Yeah.
He makes some of the fun throws that we all want to see. He's got some alpha in him. And so I think if you're going to come in as like a mid-level pick, you got to have that a little bit if you're going to elevate yourself and the team and be someone that produces over a long time. So I think I would probably much rather see them take an impact player in the first round, trade back maybe, and get early, a second round pick or early third round pick ideally, and then take a swing on a quarterback there, and then fill out that roster. I think I don't know necessarily that this team needs. They have 8 picks currently. I don't know that you have to get to like 10 or 11 and just throwing bullets all over the place.
Yeah, no.
I think making sure to get guys that have really clear starting potential.
Yeah.
Not necessarily from day one, but there's a vision here. While, by next year, they are pushing for a starting position. So, left tackle, what are some right guard potentially? You don't know if they're going to pay minors. A corner that can push Riley Moss so that, best player wins. Edge rusher, because you don't know what you're going to do with Baron Browning or with Jonathan Cooper. And so, or Alex Singleton, can we get someone that might be able to push Alex Singleton to be ready to start next year? So you start saving some money at inside linebacker, that kind of stuff. That's the hope that I see, especially after round 1. For some reason, I am head over heels in love with Bowers. I think, look what Travis Kelce did for Alex Smith. Vernon Davis did the same thing with Alex Smith. Drew Brees had Jimmy Graham and Jeremy Shockey, and having a mismatched tight end. You see it with Travis Kelce now, right? Even on his days, George Kittle, what it does for an offense. It's a matchup nightmare, right? It's like having Giannis at the wing. Like, the guy is just physically, if you try and match him with length, he's going to blow by you. If you try and put a smaller defender on him, he's going to post him up and dunk on their face. Well, you get a 6'4", 240 tight end who can stretch the field.
Yep.
They don't build defensive players to be able to match that. We tried. Like, the Broncos have tried to do that. So part of my hope is either he goes like top 8 and the Broncos can't even sniff Bowers, so I don't get my heart crushed, and he doesn't land with a team like the Raiders. Or I wouldn't be mad at all if that were the pick at 12. Because I think if you're going to pick someone at 12, especially with the run on quarterbacks that's going to happen, there's going to be some guys that are elite at their position. Elite. I wouldn't be mad if they took, so CBS has the Broncos taking a tackle at 12. And then you see what you can get for Bolsey. Maybe it's a reduced one, but hey, you know what? We're going to let the kid take the wheel, and we're going to free up $17 million and go apply that to some other places, because there's some pretty good free agents still out there in a variety of roles. I think the same thing with Cortland Sutton, sadly. Get Josh Reynolds. If there's a pretty nice receiver on in the third round, which I think this draft is blessed with, maybe that's a move to help you get some more capital or to move up, to select a quarterback maybe in round 2, some things like that. So I want them to pick someone that is, has the chance to be a perennial Pro Bowler. And I don't think the quarterbacks will be.
Yeah.
I am more than okay with to be honest, with Bo Nix, with Penix, because I mean, you saw what Sean Payton was able to do with Russ, what he was able to do with Trevor Sipp. Like, you're going to get good quarterback play. You might not get special play. I don't know that you need special.
Right.
We're not going to fight Mahomes with Mahomes. Like, stop it, dude. Stop. It's just, we're not going to do that. The guy's a absolute unicorn. Yeah, you use unicorn intentionally because you don't see them. They're rare. You'd be like, well, you got to go find your unicorn. I don't think you understand what a unicorn is. Unicorn is stop. All right. Anyway, fast forward. I don't think, though, with that you go into, we'll find our guy next year. I think you have to look at it year by year, because you don't know how you're going to finish. Well, if this team finishes 7-10,
That's true.
8-9, 9-8, we're at the same damn problem. Could you mortgage then next year to go up and get it? Sure. But you don't know evaluations. Maybe a early entry guy like Quinn Ewers is going to come out, but he breaks his ankle and then he's got to stay a year. I don't know. Don't break your ankle. Right. But I don't think you make a decision on this year based on next year. I think it's, do I love this guy? If the answer is no, and then you have some guys that are good enough or worth a risk, then you take them appropriately at the areas that they are. You don't move up, because this team needs so much other stuff. They are not a quarterback away, right? They have some. They do have some talent. I don't want to like look at it and be like, they're actually just not that. Cortland Sutton had 10 touchdowns last year. If Samaj P. Ryan is really good at what he does, I think that Javonte will give a little bit more of a spark this year, being further removed. Their offensive line, according to pass rush and run block win rate, were pretty damn good last year. Your quarterback runs into sacks. That's what you get with Russ. Zach Allen played pretty well last year. Benito was playing pretty well. Baron Browning has had some flashes. Alex Singleton is a monster in the middle. Pat Surtain is the best at what he does. Brandon Jones is a really, really good player. He is not Justin Simmons, but he's no slouch. PJ Locke's back there. So it's not like, and McMillan, Jay Money, it's not like they're like, I get this now, like, their team actually just isn't as maybe, but their team that beat Buffalo and beat the Chiefs, and like, there's something to be said here that maybe there's a little bit more on the bone. So I think if they're able to get a few guys that can come in with some immediate production, with Pro Bowl talent, not necessarily first year, but like, all right, we can see it, they need some guys like that. They need more top end guys, not necessarily like, we just need some good players. No, we need someone that's like Quinn Miners, who's young, and he is going to be a very damn good football player for a long time. Pat Surtain is going to be a good football player for a long time. How many of those do we got? That I don't know. So we need some youthful players that'll be pretty damn good for a long time. And so that's what I hope that they're able to get. Go get talent. If we already have a guy there, he's probably not signed long-term, so what? You're going to be fat in one area for a little bit while it moves and shakes itself out. But that means you have capital in that area to move that player, to get picks, or to all that stuff. So I just, that's what I want. Like head and shoulders, best player available at 12, unless maybe one of the big four slips or move back. Because I think even if you're able to move back 3 or 4, 5 picks, you probably can get someone that was a top 10 talent to you at 18, 19, 20 because of the quarterback run. And I think tackles are going to go real high. So some guys maybe that are back end first round talent are going to get pushed up because there is a dying need for offensive linemen in this league for sure. So I think the Broncos have an opportunity to get a really, really good player. And I just hope they don't overthink it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah. And I'm willing to punt on, a top 12 talent to get, 2 top 20 guys or a top 20 and top 30 guy. It's just like there are enough holes on this roster that need to be filled with serviceable players. Yeah, that
I think a top 20 guy is still a guy that's going to have Pro Bowl potential, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's more or less that. Like, worry less about maybe what positions they're at, because you just don't have. I don't think they're bereft of talent, but they don't have like a really solid core of like these are our guys moving over the next 5 years. Yeah. So I agree with you. If you can move that back, get capital, get some good players that one can start or challenge for a starting job today. And I mean, not one, but a few. Like, you need a few of those in this draft. So high upside is huge. I think that's where you got to go. I would love more capital. It's the one time you and I agree for sure. I'd move back a couple times if possible. Getting late round 1, I'm fine with that. If you can get 2, 3, 4 day 2 picks and a 4th round something, you can maximize that. Then that allows you to move again back up a lot on day 2. And round 2, round 3 is where this team has done some really good work, and that's where some really impactful players are. Look at all of the wide receivers for the Packers. They don't draft them in the 1st round, but 2 through 4, they kill it.
Yeah,
really good unit. So
they sure do.
Yeah, I mean, that to me would be, that's dope. You get a couple. You put 2 or 3 of those resources on offense. You might have the makings of a really good core group. I don't need them to fast forward the movement, but I want to know, like, all right, I can see who's going to be here that they're going to build around for when they're ready to make a run, which I think would be next year. So I think these decisions lay the groundwork. So let's not go send them all out for a quarterback that's going to have no talent around him.
Yeah,
at this moment.
I'm curious to know if they're going to just take best player available, regardless of position.
Yeah.
I like you said, there's no one really on this roster that's untouchable, aside for maybe Surtain, but we even heard his name floated around a little bit.
I don't think he's untouchable because I don't, unless you have a window and a core group and a quarterback, I think you're open for business to get one.
Yep.
I have just seen, though, I'd be hesitant about mortgaging because we all recognize Seattle won that trade hands down. Right now, it looks like Green Bay won that trade, and that wasn't even like a blockbuster deal. Like, that was just pretty good. Houston won that trade, right? I mean, so there hasn't been a lot of success right now when it comes to organizations and spending a lot to get a quarterback. And then, the big trade up fallacy, most of those guys haven't worked out either. Trey Lance, et cetera. So I don't think that that's the route to go. I think if one lands to you at 12, maybe you're overdrafting them at 12. I would be okay if it were a quarterback. I think best player available, they're going to have some really good options. So don't necessarily just go for need, right? Like, but who has the best film? Like, who's the best player? And
who's the best player?
Yep. So I'm all for it, and super excited about it getting here because it's super fun. And then, it really gives you a clear vision on, right? It's kind of like when the last chapters of this is going to be your team moving forward, when they're on Hard Knocks this year, we'll have a lot of fun stuff to watch.
For sure. We talked about doing some mocks, but I think we're a little bit running out of time, so we'll have to hold those. But
we'll have to hold those next week. Really fantastic guest. So especially for you Avs fans, be on it. We'll announce that later this week. But you won't want to miss it for sure.
Yeah, keep an eye on the Twitter page. That's definitely where we go for our socials. It's been a little bit sparse lately, but we intend to get in there and interact. If you have any questions, you want to talk Broncos, you want to talk Avs, you want to talk Nuggets, Rockies, whatever, shoot us a message, shoot us a DM. They're always open. Send us some questions we can answer on the pod. Maybe we'll put out a Twitter asking for some questions from fans.
We will for next week. We want some.
Yeah, for next.
We got an expert on the biz. Been excited about trying to get some Avalanche specific voices on here, and I think we got one of the best. So we absolutely will. Hopefully, you're firing our way because I need it. I love hockey. I'm not like a hockey head, so I need a little bit of help. So I sound smart.
Yeah, exactly. No offense, but I agree.
I mean,
that's how it is with me and baseball.
I am a fan of hockey. I am not what I am to football, you are to hockey. I defer to you. I know what I see, but I want validation from you because that's not my sport. And I know we got friends out there that are watching us now that hockey is the number one, and we want to hear from you for sure.
For sure. But thank you, everyone. We appreciate you tuning in today. Great numbers. Make sure you share our posts, when we're going live. We want to grab as many people as we can and just get them involved in the conversation. Feel free to comment. We love interacting with you guys in the comment section. Clayton, thanks for doing that today.
Hey, you're the best.
Yeah, and we just appreciate all of y'all. Sure. But we're going to call it a day today. Got some big games coming up, especially in the NHL and NBA that we'll be tuned into. And so just some exciting things on the horizon. But until then, Thank you. We appreciate you. And if you need a sports prescription, make sure you call a doctor.
Boom.
Bye.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my